Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
You gotta make them wait for it, you know? Build the suspense. Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. My name is Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series. However, my two co-hosts have not. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello, and if you hear me clearer, it's because I fixed my microphone, or AJ fixed my microphone.
And our producer, in fact, is with us on the show. AJ, how are the levels looking?
Better than ever.
How are the bars?
The bars are also better than ever.
And since there was no rule saying a dog can't podcast, we've swapped out Josh for a golden retriever. Welcome to the show, Fresh Air Bud.
I gotta go.
Today on the show, we're talking about House of Chains, chapters 3 and 4, the ending of book 1.
Hi, I'm not a dog anymore. I also got a mic, and I want to shout it to the heavens, so...
Yeah, it's new year, new me.
New mic,
is what I was going to say, but it's
same
not.
pod.
So you had Joshua Barker right there. You had a dog pun with one letter for my name.
But I didn't think of it, so...
Okay.
You know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive in, and I think we have a lot to talk about. Should we get right into it, or do you want to do a little frisky big picture thoughts, or should we wait? I think maybe we should wait for the end. You know,
When you normally do big picture thoughts, yes.
That would make sense.
Okay,
you know?
look at the AJ comes on the show, all of a sudden got a lot of big ideas over there. You know. All right. Chapter 3. Imprisoned by the Malazans, Karsa is chained alongside Torvald, Nam, Silgar, and Damask. Torvald speaks of Karsa's resistance to the magic net and his own past. Karsa swears he will break free and lead the Teblor in vengeance. He will feign brain damage to try and trick the Malazans. Karsa falls in and out of consciousness as they travel. Next, when he awakes, Torvald has heard secondhand of the fall of Pale and of Moonspawn's move south. Torvald will help Karsa with his charade, and Karsa swears to conquer Darujistan first. Torvald tells Cord and the others that he has a claw, but the Malazans don't believe him. They are loaded onto a ferry and then other boats. They travel through several cities and hear of Dujak's arrival and of the loose peace that sits in some cities. They are transferred to a seafaring vessel where Karsa is gagged. Karsa dreams of the Urugal, the 7 gods saying that Karsa has abandoned them. He dreams he is atop a bone hill. Corpses chanting, "Lead us, war leader." Karsa wakes, panicked, and Torvald is caring for him. A strange storm arrives and the captain blames Karsa and decides to throw the barbarian overboard. Chains of lightning descend from the sky, almost for Karsa himself. The boat cracks apart and Torvald scrambles onto the platform alongside with Karsa's weapon and Moranth munitions. Silgar and the other lowlanders escape in a dory. They have all been drawn into a warren. They drift for some time and Karsa has visions of the Urugal again. They come to a ruined ship, which Karsa can deduce battle has passed on. Great black catfish surround them. They kill a few of the animals, and after slipping in and out of consciousness, Karsa is told there is a boat. Torvald and Karsa discuss warrens and sail for several days. They sail and come to a shoreline with a wall on it. Here is another one of these strange boats, but we know it as the Salanda. For on board, Karsa finds decapitated heads, headless oarmen, and tall gray-skinned men. The men are living and demand Karsa to kneel, which he does not. A fight breaks out. He kills the men and puts a harpoon through a mage's chest. They identify them as Tist Eater, and then speak of the Tist people and religion. Karsa feels he has begun to think more subtly, and now resents the Urugal for denying freedom. From Milky Rain, the Urugal appear and talk about Karsa, failure, and Eater. They scatter Otaterol around the cabin and leave, for kin are on their trail. Karsa and Torvald reach a shoreline with Silgar and Damask and the others. Karsa almost kills them, but Silgar says he can open a portal and save them. After some doubt, the slave master opens a portal, and they all escape but for one of Silgar's men, who dies going through. A shark attacks them and Karsa defends them. Silgar leaves them on the shoreline. Karsa and Torvald travel along the coast together, spotting a tower made of bones. A tall Nappin man greets them and makes them tea. He is known locally as the Keeper and says they are near Erlatan. They speak and Karsa spars with him. The next day, they will go to Erlatan where they think Silgar has gone. Torvald wants to return home to Darujhistan. Karsa says he will return home too one day, but still thinks of the Urugal, secrets, and when and how to return to his people. They speak with the Keeper and set out. Okay, Ange, we exchanged some texts throughout the week. You seemed a bit jived about these two chapters, and this one's probably the bigger of the two. This is really the start of Karsa's journey to Seven Cities, but it starts on this boat. He gets locked up again with Torvald. He feigns being sick. We hear more about what's going on in Genabacchus, and then he ends up on this sea journey. So, where are you? Why were you excited about these chapters? And did it begin here, or was it something later on?
It began as soon as Torvald, Nam, and Tim were really interacting, and then
they're a great duo.
Yeah, fantastic, truly fantastic. They are boys, they are besties. It is adorable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, I was disturbed by how much I was actually rooting for Karsa throughout this whole beginning. I was never like, wow. Well, at first I was like, haha, he had this coming. And then I was like, all right, come on now. He made a complete reform, essentially. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just felt really bad for him. That position he was in seemed really painful, and I felt bad. And I'm glad he didn't lose his mind, thanks to Torvald Nam and his endless talking. It's a beautiful friendship. I loved it so much. And yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
I kind of like how we hear secondhand through the trickles of the events of Gardens of the Moon and kind of all the stuff we know about Dujak's conquest. I think that's so fun. Josh, how did you feel about Torvald's duo and them kind of crossing the ocean together?
Oh, the actual ocean crossing, I was very sad throughout because Karsa's just slowly going insane, which didn't feel great. But all the times that they got to interact, I agree, was just a delight. Torvald Nam is a 10 out of 10 guy.
He really is.
And I say that now knowing full well that in 3 books, he could murder a child. And someone will be like, is he a great guy now, Josh? But at this moment, 10 out of 10.
Top tier talker. I always enjoy when Steve writes these verbose people, these Krupp people in a way.
Oh yeah.
I do love there's a great jab. I don't know who makes it, if it's Karsa or who, but he slams the Empire, and I think it's in this part about how they don't have slaves, they have prisoners, and how it's he's making fun of this difference, which I think is totally, I'm fully on board with, because I think it's super fucked up that the Empire says they don't allow slavery, lets these slavers operate in northern Genabacchus, capture the slavers, and then are like, wow, that one looks really good. I guess he should be our prisoner and go work in our prison camp now.
Well,
the idea that this is in some way not this is slavery, but in a different name. It is fully morally reprehensible, and the Empire should be accountable for it.
It felt awful in the second book when they were in the Ototero mines. It was and because as far as I can tell, I don't think there's anyone keeping track of how long you're there, and there's a release date. It's just you're here till it's over.
Yeah. I don't think there's a big release from that program. I think you're correct, Josh. So then, Josh, they're out at sea, and then the storm comes, and they end up being dragged into this warren that we have already visited. Now, when they were dragged in, at what point did you know where we were and where we were going to end up? Did you know we were going back to the Salanda and this flooded warren and all this stuff,
I felt pretty I felt pretty confident, like, from the get. Like, as soon as they were like, there's nothing moving, I was like, we're back in this warren. Because it felt fishy. Like, as soon as they saw, like, a storm in the middle, and they were like, Garza, you did this. And I was like, I really don't think Garza did this. It doesn't feel like that's his thing.
Especially since later he's like, what's a warren?
Yeah, no. So I felt pretty confident that they were in the same one. I was actually very happy that we finally like got a pretty concrete timestamp in this chapter as to like where we are in relation to the other books we've read so far. That was helpful to know that like, okay, they're going through some of this approximately like several months to a year before book 2.
Yeah.
So that was very helpful to me.
Between the Pale and the Moonspawn thing, and then encountering the Solanda, it really places it chronologically.
Yep. So that was helpful. But no, I felt pretty quick that this is where we were. They don't say Solanda, do they?
No.
I don't think they say it. I think I just brought that because it's meta knowledge we have.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I almost glossed over it. Inge, what did you think of Karsa's dream of the Urgal, and he's on the hilltop, and there's these people, and there's all these chains. What did you make of this and all this chain imagery?
What is Urgal? I thought it was a person. Is it the 7 people as one? What is it?
Urthal is is one of the faces in the rock, and he is the like patron person of the rock for the Urgal tribe or Urthid that Karsa is part of.
How the hell do you know that?
I read the book.
Huh.
I don't have another answer.
Huh.
He's true. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I had no idea who he was talking about when he kept saying like, "Oh, I have to follow his lead." La-di-da. But I still don't get it. I have no idea who they are or what they're doing, or why they're always bleeding. I don't know about the chain imagery. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what to
a lot of that shit I didn't really understand either.
I'm really vibing with the chain imagery this time through, about like despair and burden and suffering. And it really goes to what's at the end of those chains. And he's wearing a lot of chains. There's just a lot of chain talk. And I just want it to be noted. I'm appreciating it. It's very thorough, and we are in a house of chains,
I forgot that's what the book title was.
Yeah, it's what's the book title is. So, Josh, then we actually end up on the Solanda, and he kills these Tist Eater. And so what did you make all of this? And did this give you the insights you were looking for when we encountered this boat in Deadhouse Gates?
So I'm going to say yes and no, because India was in the podcast group was messaging about this last night. I felt like such a strong desire this week to just run back to Deadhouse Gates and reread these sections because I remember the heads being covered. I remember them being like, yo, these Tisti Eater are dead, but like they're not ancient dead, they're just like kind of recent. So I remember being real confused about a lot of that stuff, but I feel like there's so many like details now that I would love to be able to like go back and be like, aha, that was Karsa. You know?
But he didn't also kill the ones that didn't have heads? No,
we still do not know what happened. Like, we do not know why those guys are headless or how they became that way. I believe in a Steve interview, he may have hinted that we come to this scene multiple times after the first. So there might be, like, we might go back again and see the Tisti Eater, like, back at the get. Also, are these the Tisti Eater from the prologue, Peter? Can you confirm or deny? He's hiding behind his hand. Okay.
Inge, what did you make of this scene on the Solanda?
I didn't really know that we were there until the part where he was like, they don't have heads. And I was like, oh. So it took me like a really long time to get the fact that we had gone into this warren or whatever.
The same flooded warren.
Yeah, because I just thought that they were in a new place. I thought that their boat crashed or something happened where someone made it happen, and then they were all just in the water. But alas, they were not just in the water.
And I just realized there's no tear in the warren yet, is there?
No.
Is the tear what's going to get? Is that get caused by that mage like trying to unleash the warren and then getting just fucking harpooned through the chest. Interesting.
I would just like to point out in that section, immediately after they leave the boat, is when we see the Talana Mass, and the one, I forget their names, and I did not mark the page, but the one says to the other, like, oh, make sure we close that warren because there's like a tear. He like addresses the fact that there's a tear happening.
Oh, okay.
But not that it has happened yet.
Can you say who addresses this?
The Talana Mass, right?
In this book, there's a Talana Mass?
Yeah, dude, you missed it. You missed the Talana Mass in this chapter.
I thought that was the 7 people, the bloody 7.
That was the 7 people, dude. That was not the Talana Mass.
AJ, it had to be the bloody 7.
AJ, 100%, it was the 7 broken people. Because they were talking specifically about Karsa.
The 7 bloody people. Wait, but because then they're like, our kin is coming after us. Who's kin? Who is the kin?
It's 100%.
It would make sense if it was but it was 7 of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Oh, my cat.
It was like one paragraph, so it's hard to find.
I feel very confident that it was the 7 and
That's
not
fine.
a Talana Mass.
On the forecastle of the massive ship, moments after the dory and the 2 passengers slip beneath the skin of Money Rain, 7 almost insubstantial figures. All right, fair enough. I missed that part.
You had me so worried. I was like, did I skip a very pivotal page for Talana Mass show up?
They do say...
They say like every
Oh, that's
time
what it is.
we try to close it.
Let us begin the preparations. Bear scatter that handful of Otateral dust in the cabin. The Teist Eater Sorcerer's Warren remains open, and in this place, it will quickly become a wound, a growing wound.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that now. Good call.
Whew, I really... Sorry. That took a lot of work to get there.
Listen, I feel torn here, but I just will say, I don't know if there really is a disagreement here, you know?
Okay, so we're both right.
Interesting. So is Peter saying that they are Talana Mass? That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I don't want to interject too much here, but I do also want to say that was what I thought the Muddy Rain was Talana Mass, like in rain form instead
I
of...
thought it was like, we're in a warrant, so I assumed it was like Krull's semen.
What the fuck did you just say to me?
We're in Krull's, like we're in a warren, which is part of Krull, and there's like white, milky shit raining from the sky. Like,
what the fuck, Josh?
That is for the podcast group chat only.
This is fucked up. We should put this in people's ears. Why'd you do this?
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
Why'd you do this?
Anyway. Sorry. That was why I thought they were, that was what I assumed that the Muddy Rain was Talana Mass.
It was Milky Rain, AJ.
Well, Milky
call it
Rain,
what
Muddy
it
Rain,
was.
whatever. That's all I got to say.
Afterwards, India, they kind of sail to the next shoreline where they encounter all these other slavers and they escape back to the world through this portal, and there's like a shark attack. So what did you think of them encountering these slavers again and the kind of persistent menace Silgar is to Karsa throughout these first 4 chapters?
Karsa is his character, his little change happened a little too rapidly for me. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little unbelievable because he went from being like a sociopath to being like, all right, everything is just like, well, all right. And it's like, is that you? Is that who you are? So the fact that he didn't harpoon the shit out of him kind of annoyed me. And also I mean, story progression. So I just felt like it was inevitable that he's going to die like Silgar or whatever because he's so shitty. But it's just when, and I think that it just should have happened sooner. I thought it was kind of unrealistic for him to be like, okay, yeah, let's just leave these guys here while we go up and look to find out what the light is. No, you kill the shit out of him because he's shitty, and then you go look at what the light is.
He should have murdered that dude first chance he had.
And
as soon as I get it, he had to use the warren. I get it, he had to use that. But the moment we're in that water, just ruined that guy.
Literally, I agree. I just thought it was very stupid. He's coming off as very passive now, which I thought was weird, but still lethal AF when he killed the shit out of the shark. It's just, I don't know, man. That's just how I felt about it.
Josh, how did you feel about them? Then they end up back on the shoreline, and then they kill this shark, which the shark thing is super random for me. But And then they end up going to this tower and meeting this random person to kind of end this journey, and we learn we are in fact on 7 cities.
Yeah,
I felt and we've arrived near Erlatan.
It made sense that we were in 7 cities just because, like, all of this Warren stuff. Now, it sounds like maybe the Warren has the ability to shift where its physical location is, considering it ends up being off the coast of the Otatero Island, rather than, like, off the north coast of 7 cities, which is interesting.
That's literally so above anything that I could comprehend.
Although, I guess yeah, so that's where I was with that. Do you know what I mean, Peter? You seem confused.
I know what you mean, but that falls under the, like, magic physics that...
Magic!
Oh, okay, I got you. I guess what I want to skip to is the Bone Tower, which is the fucking most metal thing in this book so far, is just this tower made of, like, dinosaur bones.
Sure.
And there's just some dude, and he just, like, makes his own cement, and he's just building this tower. And the reason is, well, I gotta build the tower big enough so that this really cool dinosaur, I can just build it in the tower. And, like, yeah, I get that. It makes total sense to me.
Dude's a mad chiller.
Yeah. Also, he definitely, based upon the quote in this next chapter, he's definitely, like, a remnant of Callan Vad's empire. That is my called shot. Yeah. So
interesting.
Mm-hmm. I loved that guy. And he also just punched the shit out of Karsa. That was great. Loved that.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. I just wondered why. Also, I agreed with Karsa when he said that his little bone collection was stupid. I also thought it was stupid.
What? They're dinosaurs, India?
He was like, what's the point? And I was like, agreed. What's
I
the
just
point?
think, like, if Steve was in the world, is this just Steve saying he wants to move to a beach and live in a bone tower?
I really think it could be. I really do think it could be.
That's actually
Drink
so
tea
funny.
and punch wayward wanderers.
He just wants to become so strong and collect bones.
In that case, I changed my mind, and I do like it.
This is definitely the bigger of the 2 chapters, since it involves really going from that kind of initial Malazan encapturement to this rogue coastline, and then so it was really a far journey. AJ, how touching in with you at the end here, how did it feel to go from this whole distance, and did you follow Karsa this whole journey?
How did it feel?
Yeah.
Good. I don't know. I think I kind of take issue with India's take that his change was sudden. I agree that it did kind of happen like on one page, but I think throughout this chapter, there are moments where he kind of questions stuff, similar to how when like Bayroth Guild, toward the end of Bayroth Guild's life, I guess, when they were kind of talking about who the 7 are and like questioning Uragal and like if they should actually be as brutal as they are. I think especially when Torvald and Karsa talk about the dream world versus the Warrens, like that idea.
Sure.
Karsa even brings up Bayroth Guild in there somewhere, and says like, "Oh, you remind me of Bayroth Guild." And
I'm
like,
sorry, who is that?
He was one of the other Tablor.
He was one of the friends who dies.
He had a big bear skull that he threw.
So I think Karsa's kind of been on this spiritual journey, I guess, kind of questioning, like, does this stuff actually mean anything? And like, I think that started when they found the carvings in chapter 1 or 2, whatever that was. And I think it's gradually been growing. But I do agree there was just one moment where he was like, well, yeah, I'm this now. But I think the questioning has kind of been happening like underneath the words for a couple of chapters.
He just kind of needed to be tortured for a little bit.
I was actually going to say, ooh, can I pop in on that, India?
Please.
Please.
It's got big Talk vibes for me.
Yeah,
Talk went through such a giant transformation. I mean, literally, physically and mentally. And by the end, he's like approaching just kind of like, we are what we are. Everything is whatever. I've been tortured to the point of insanity. And Karsa is like similar in that he like loses his mind. His body doesn't fucking work because he's been chained forever. I don't know. It was very reminiscent of that to me.
And I think part of it too is we don't see a lot of the journey that Karsa goes on because he's like unconscious or just like tied up to the back of a boat for most of it. And I think a lot of, Torvald Nam talking to him and Karsa kind of being forced to think about the world in this like abstract way of like words and not actually actions, because he can't do anything. And so Torvald Nam is kind of showing him like there is a way to live that is just based on words and not actually like physically killing people.
And even as that conflict with, I think, Delam, or Bareth, I think, and about words after, at the end of chapter 1, I think, about fancy words or using, I forget when, you know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, but yeah.
Since we're on the subject, I think for me, Inge, I think I more feel how India does. I think for me it's a little tough since a lot of this character development for Karsa somewhat happens off screen. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That his initial state of being such an extreme character of like extreme violence, cruelty, and disregard for human life, you know, is presented very initially forward on screen in dramatic fashion, you know? And then we move on to him kind of falling out of this life. But this is, I think it's harder to portray almost. And we get a few scenes of, I think, very interesting conversation about empires on the boats. I think the empire thing's later, actually, when he's talking about conquest in chapter 4. But we talk about religion and we talk about these different things, which I think is interesting, as you're saying, about Torvald living a life of words. But I still feel like it's such a far distance to go, and it's tough since so much happens of it in this almost seafaring montage that it definitely loses me a little bit. Josh, how did you feel about the distance his character goes since we're on the subject?
I know I found it kind of like I followed it. Like it wasn't anything crazy in my opinion. I know it like we said, it happens fast and kind of off screen, but it seemed relatively believable to me. Yeah. So I definitely like his character a hell of a lot more now that he's like, maybe murder and rape isn't the solution to every issue I have. You know, that's some good thinking, Karsa.
Yeah, it's a step up, but. Well, let's talk about it since his journey's not yet done. Chapter 4. Torvald and Karsa travel together. Speaking of rebellion, conquest, hatred, and 7 cities. They are captured by Arak tribesmen. Karsa is knocked out, and at night he wakes up in their camp. Torvald burns some of their clothes and draws attention of nearby Grawl. A tribesman comes up and slices Torvald's neck. Damask and Silgar are in the camp and escape with Karsa and take him to Erlatan. They take off his shackles and he screams in rage. He goes unconscious as Malazans confront the slavers. He awakes being healed by Malazans and he finds himself sharing a room with a strange 7 Cities man. They are both to be sent to the Otateral mines. They speak of the Malazans' tight control over the Otateral. Karsa's face has been tattooed as a prisoner, like it has been shattered. Soldiers move Karsa and he sees Silgar. The slaver may be able to buy his freedom, which Karsa mocks. At night, Torvald Nam comes to free both Karsa and this stranger. Torvald was spared by the Grawl, and he gives Karsa his sword and tells him to come visit Torvald in Darujistan someday. The stranger, with the help of Mebra, leads Karsa out of the city. The next day, Karsa and the stranger are riding through the desert and are being pursued. At nightfall, they see it as Silgar, Damask, and the slavers. They kill them, and Karsa grants Silgar a cruel death. A week later, they near the holy desert Raraku. Karsa asked why the name Teblor amuses this stranger. The stranger says it's because Karsa's people's true name is Salomen Toblakai. The man calls himself Leoman, and they set off to meet Shaik.
What a great reveal that was.
That was like I don't even know. It was like the last bite of like a really good cake.
Oh yeah.
Like that is what that felt like. That is
you saved like a nice bit of whipped cream for that too.
Exactly.
And it's just
like your favorite bite of your favorite meal is the last one. Oh, it was phenomenal.
It's just like a second where everything clicks. You're like, I fucking get it. Steve conned me again. He got me.
I was so mad. Like as soon as this happened, I immediately was just like, they said the second fucking book. Big dude, wooden sword. He's got a wooden fucking sword in the second book, I'm pretty sure. And we've just been here the whole time.
Doesn't he also have the guy with him? Or am I making that up?
Leoman's there. Oh, I can't remember if he has Silgar with him or not still.
Does he have the little body with him?
I can't remember.
I think and it's tough. It's one of those things that, like, you could have put this together. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and a lot of the stuff in the series is like this. It's very solvable. Do you know what I mean? Like, if your eyes were like really combing through it, you probably would have been like, this is Toblikai, this blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, I certainly didn't put it together. And when I had the same reaction you did. I reached the end of this part and I was like, fuck, shit, you know?
And like, I remember Meblor is who they kill for helping Fiddler or Kalam in the second one. Like, I saw that name and I was like, is there about to be something? Because I definitely remember Meblor being all up with Shaik. Mebra.
I don't.
He's in Erlatan. He gives
the book, right?
He gives the book, and then he betrays them, and then he gets killed. He's like the local kind of trashy person or whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, so let's walk our way through this chapter a little bit. Josh, it starts, and Torvald and Karsa are captured together. Torvald like gets wounded. You might think he dies, and then Karsa gets captured and taken into the city. How'd you feel? Did you think Torvald die? Where were you?
I was like 50-50 because in general in fantasy novels, if I don't read the words and then their eyes closed forevermore or some bullshit, I'm very hesitant to write them off as actually dead many times. So, but I wasn't here like, there's going to be some big reveal. I was like, oh no, we'll see.
Yeah.
I was very pissed they got captured again by Silgar. Fuck that dude.
Yeah. And well, he gets his comeuppance later in the chapter, so.
Oh, and here, I do want to say, speaking of the beginning of the chapter, the initial quote is, from Empress Lysine to High Mage Tayshrin, following the disappearances.
I love this quote.
Has a drowned Nappin's body ever surfaced? And that's what makes me think, considering that they call out that the Keeper is Nappin, he's got to be something like that. It's got to be something from when all like the high important people disappeared from the Malazan army. There
so that's interesting. India. So they get captured and they get brought to the city, and we also see the Grawl and we see the Arak tribesmen again, and we're back in Erlatan. So how did it feel to like last chapter technically arrived, but I feel like this is the first time we're in 7 cities again. We're around the people and the culture. How did it feel to be back? And we go in and we meet some of the Malazan. So, where were you?
It didn't feel... I feel like for you guys, a lot of this stuff was like, oh yeah, I remember that, la-di-da. Like, I don't have many of those things. I was so entirely confused for the whole first 2 books that really... everything that we find out now is like, there's no like, oh, I remember that then. It's just like, okay, so I guess before this was laid out and now we know. So to be back in like here is not like exciting. In fact, I'm more so, I feel like I'm just ready for like the actual story to start. Like I'm I'm not over it. I really enjoyed these chapters and I thought they were hilarious, but I'm just kind of ready for now, like us to pick up where we left off. It's been literally an entire book in between, and I just kind of want to find my girl.
And I think that's what's so exciting about hitting that reveal at the end of this chapter is because you read all of Memories of Ice. You're so far away from 7 cities in this conflict, and then you finally get back to it, and Steve's like, "No, hold up, I got a long prologue," and then it finally gets back here. And then it's like, let's go meet Shaik. And you're like,
let's fucking go.
Yeah, you're all revved up. You're like, I am ready to fucking meet Shaik. Let's get back to 7 cities. Josh, so he gets captured. We hear more about what's going on. And this is when he first meets who we later find out is Leoman. And then they get freed by Torvald. What'd you think about this whole scene of him inside the city, them being captured, all this stuff?
Very, very fun heist scene. I thought it was great. I was kind of like wondering where we were. At first, I was really confused because I thought we were at whatchamacallit, I thought we were at the Ototero mines, and I was kind of confused how we'd gotten there so fast that we were going, but then as it went, I kind of cleared up that we were just in some random-ass city somewhere. You gonna say which city?
It's Erlatam, but no big deal.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so the place they were trying to get to. Great. So, I don't know, I thought it was really fun. I did not expect the twist of a distant relative of Torvald's being the main trading, partner of the Grawl, and thus everything. I was like, that's a weird... I mean, he does set up the whole time, like, he's always like, oh yeah, my people are everywhere, the Noms are everywhere, and we're always great traders, so it's like, okay, I guess, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just... The Torvald says something about, speaking about how the Noms are everywhere, he says something about his cousin is an assassin.
Oh yeah, he does mention Rallic at one
Okay,
point.
I was going to say, is that
cousins.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's great that there's cousins in the plot. Well, before we get to the final end, let me just ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think Torvald and Karsa are destined to meet again? They say goodbye at the end of this chapter.
I could honestly see Torvald almost never coming up again. Like, I could see him being relevant in a different book when they're on this city or something, and it's just like a fun nod to this book. But I don't really see how he plays a big role in what's to come.
I also didn't see him coming back from getting his throat slit, so...
It's true.
Not gonna lie, he seems like a cockroach kind of guy, Just doesn't die. He's always there.
So they ride out in the desert, and then Inge, this is where Silgar gets his comeuppance, and he gets killed. So how'd you feel? I guess, is there anything even to say? Silgar sucks. He's a slaver, and he gets murdered.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I really liked it. I liked that he cut off his limbs, and then he carried him, and was like, "No, I'm going to tie it so you don't die just yet." It was really satisfying, but also it's like, no offense, it's just a weird thing because, like, Karsa, he ain't innocent, so
no, he ain't.
It's not that, like, so then it's like, well, Silgar, really, was it that bad what he did? Yes, because now I like Karsa, but like, no, but it doesn't really matter. He was mad murdered, and I feel like he deserved it because he's a shithead.
Is he actually dead yet? I didn't think he was.
I don't think he is either. I feel like he's just kind of like a husk.
Yeah, right? He's still carrying him at the end, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think I kind of wrote it bad, so to speak.
Yeah.
You didn't write anything bad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would disagree.
So, Josh, finally we get to the end, and not only is it revealed that this is Leomin and Toblakai, these characters we met in Deadhouse Gates, but we also learn that Karsa is a part of this ancient race, and it kind of answers this question of who are the Teblor.
Does it answer that question,
So
though?
I don't think it really does, because I think it's one of those things where, like, we didn't know the Barghast were descended from, whoever the fuck they're descended from.
Isn't it the Toblakai?
Yeah.
Yes, it's from the Toblakai.
Right, and the Toblakai, right, so the Toblakai, but they're also the Talani Mass, right? That's who or something? Isn't there something
I think you're
with that?
mistaken.
Okay, all right, I'm wrong then.
So the reveal didn't really reveal that much besides just kind of a true name.
You're also, I thought it was funny when the guy kept laughing at him when he kept calling himself Tablor or whatever. And he's like, why are you laughing at this? And he's like, oh, it's because you're this.
Take me seriously.
I remember now. The Barghast and the Moranth are the ones that are related. That's what I was thinking of, right? And they're both, and then the Teblor or the Toblakai are the common race.
I think you're correct. The Barghast and the Moranth are related, and I believe they're descendants of Amass, and the Toblakai are a separate thing altogether. So
Can I just read the reveal quote?
Sure.
So Karsus asks Leomin, why are you laughing? Or why does my name amuse you? He says, amused, more like appalls. The Fen had fallen far from their past glories, yet remembered enough to know their old name. You cannot even make that claim. Your kind walked this earth when the Talana Mas were still flesh. From your blood came the Barghast and the Trell. You are Theomin Toblakai.
Thank you. Perfect, AJ.
Thank you. That's why I'm here.
He did it.
So there we go. Okay. It was a big, cool reveal.
Yeah, it's terrific. So we come all the way.
Also, real quick. He's like the Fen remembered their name. Their name's 4 fucking letters, okay? If I had to remember over generations that were Thelomin Toblakai, yeah, I think I'd probably mess it up a little bit too. Especially if we don't have a great written language. They're just the fucking Fen. It can't get worse. We're the Fen. We're the Like, there's nowhere to go from Fen.
So let me ask you this, since we saw a bit of it, and we're at the end of this huge Karsa introduction. Where do you think Karsa, what do you think Karsa's role is? Where do you think he is when we're going to actually catch up with him in the present day, so to speak?
Can I ask a question?
Okay, sure.
I really don't remember from the second book. When I read this reveal, I was like, I thought this guy died. Or is it that Leoman died? Like, didn't one of them eat it?
No. We meet them guarding Shaik. Shaik dies. They meet him. Felison becomes Shaik Reborn. And then they travel together to the heart of Raruku, where she gives that big speech, ascends and kind of commands the army. And then that's the last kind of sequence. So they are both there.
For some reason in my head, one of them had died. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
No, it's fine to clarify. So I guess I was just looking for predictions going forward now that we've kind of arrived in the present and we're like kind of starting we're starting where Deadhouse Gates left off.
No,
you know?
we're not yet, Peter. We haven't even found Felison and Haboric.
Well,
I think the next part's going to jump right to it.
That's what I'm saying.
Spoiler alert.
Okay. So any thoughts? Where are we at? Predictions? I'm just trying to see where we're going next.
Well, I do want to say, didn't India fucking call it? Didn't she say Karsa was someone we already met?
She did call it. She called it straight up.
Great. That was great, India. I really didn't believe it because I was like, I would remember a giant man with a wooden sword, and then I fucking didn't.
Fully didn't.
Guys, it was like that. I just have no words. I was very excited.
Very happy for you.
Thank you.
Peter, my prediction is that the Toblakai didn't matter in book 2, but he will matter in this one in some way. That's all I've got. Carson's like, he's on this rebirth journey. Like, I don't know where his mind's at right now.
Just before I give you my prediction, this is something that I've been thinking about and wanted to point out and then forgot about it. If he heals very fast, his tattoo would have disappeared. Boom. That's it.
Is that how tattoos work?
Yeah, it's just it's a wound.
Well, the color though.
But wouldn't it just
would
like
the color
new
go
skin
away?
come over it and then it's gone? I don't know. I'm gonna save that question for Steve.
I gotta say, I feel like that's in the category of Malazan physics. That
you gotta look up the refresh rate of subcutaneous cells.
Yeah, well, exactly. My thoughts exactly, AJ.
Yeah, we should eschew all questions to just ask about tattoo minutia, Steve.
It's just, listen, you can't tell me your bones are resetting, but the tattoo on your face isn't coming off.
That's a good point.
Maybe this can be touched upon further on Toblakai biology.
Yeah, I'm thinking it will be, honestly, so I'm not too worried.
No.
But
well, Inge, before we get in your prediction, I did want to just check in because we're going to talk about it later on because I have some thoughts I want to share, but I do want us to get through more of House of Chains. But I'd love to know where you guys end up on Karsa Orlong right now. We just read almost 300 pages just dedicated to this new character. So, India, like, how are you feeling about him?
I don't care. I love his character. We all make mistakes.
Wow, what do you mean you don't care?
Because, I just feel like it's gonna be like, well, India, he did so many horrible things. Oh my God, you're so horrible. Like, how could you like such a horrible person? You know what? People frickin' change. And, he's just a quiet guy that has chains of dead people that he killed behind him. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? We all have demons.
AJ, where'd you end up with Mr. Orlong?
I think I ended up appreciating his journey more than appreciating him, really, because like he did do some shitty stuff, and I do agree that he is like changing, but I don't think that like erases it. But I do think I appreciate the character journey that he is on.
He's also very funny.
Yeah. I think that as he spending more time with Torvald Nam, he became more of a enjoyable. He became more verbose for sure. Like he had full paragraphs worth of sentences or worth of dialogue. I think one of my favorite recurring bits was anytime Torvald Nam would just like start talking a lot, he would just be like, too many words, just too many words. But I don't know. I think I ultimately came out somewhere in the same spot as India as an overall positive feeling about Karsa Orlong. I don't know if love is the right word, but he was definitely
Josh,
enjoyable to read.
How did you feel?
Unabashedly love him.
Wow.
Damn, guys. I was hoping at least like one of you would be like, no, he sucks.
Well,
but...
Pete, what do you think?
That's basically how I feel.
Yeah, so he's
good.
great.
We're not all morally compromised.
I'll say this, like, he's shitty in chapter 1, but like, it really sounds like the Teblor in general are just kind of, there's very few who speak up against being shitty. And like, if you're raised that way, I like, I'm not saying it's good. Not saying what he does is okay or good, but like, I understand how he thinks that it's fine that he's doing those things.
And you know what? He's changing. He's making moves to change.
Yeah, he's growing.
And I think it's interesting too, Josh, talking about the Teblor people, living that certain way. But I think it's interesting that the farther away he gets from, the Urid tribe and all of that stuff, he is just like fully changing and realizing like, oh, there is more stuff out here in this world and there is more to just like killing.
It's almost like the best way to grow is to like leave where you're from and challenge your viewpoints.
Yeah.
Steve with the subtle message.
Oh, yeah.
I also really liked whatever part Karsa was talking, and he was like, you guys focus on your differences, and the Teblor, we are Teblor first, and then some, like, whatever we are. And he was like, and that's just the reason that you're all fucked up. And I'm like, that's right, Karsa. You go with the knowledge, drop it on us. He's right.
I think I told AJ a bit about this because I want us to read an essay Steve wrote called "The Problem of Karsa Orlong." It's a terrific essay, but it's something I want us to discuss at the end of House of Chains.
Oh, okay.
Did he write the essay?
Yeah, he wrote it. So I think I have some pretty cold thoughts and probably harsh thoughts about Karsa. But I want to finish rereading this book and then have us all sit down and talk about it with the essay too. So, but I will say, I think rereading this section was definitely a different experience than reading it the first time for me. And I'm interested to carry that new perspective into finishing this second read through of House of Chains.
I really hope that he doesn't do something that makes us all feel really stupid for saying that we like him now.
I know. I feel like he will.
I mean, he is on the side of like, hey, let's end the world. So
True. Well,
so as we go out, Inge, do you have your prediction for picking up where we left off in Dead House Gates?
Oh, God. I think that... I don't know, frickin', we're going to find Felison. We're going to find our sister, whatever her name is.
Tavor.
Tablor.
Oh, you've cracked it.
We are going to, fight to the death.
All right. Weak prediction, Inge. AJ, give me a hotter, more specific prediction.
I do not know. I'm curious to see.
Even worse.
No, well, look, okay. I'm curious to see. This isn't really a prediction, but I'm just curious to see what the chapters look like with Felison and I guess Sheikh Reborn and Toblakai in the same chapter. I'm curious to see what the POV is there and to see who we are experiencing this story from.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
But I don't know. I feel like I don't think we've seen the last of Torvald Nam. I do feel like he's going to come back in some last minute thing and either save Karsa Toblakai or kill him. I think those are the two options for Torvald Nam's return. But I do think he will be back in this book.
Oh my God! Imagine he kills him.
I'd be devastated.
I'm excited for Haborg to come back. My handless son.
My boy.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't really have any more concrete predictions than India. Josh?
Okay.
Go.
No, I'm not gonna say predict, but I'm hoping that in some way Karsa, who has gone on this whole journey himself, serves to temper Felison / Shaik Reborn in some ways, because we've seen Haborg as an advisor role, and he ranges from useless to bad. So I'm excited to see if Carson can come in and like when Shaik's like, and now we'll burn this village to the ground. I'm excited for Carson to be like, or what about option B?
Maybe we yell into the pillow and then we come back and we think about it.
You know, Carson just rolls up. He's like, I too was once mad at everyone, and then I found God. I don't know something.
I don't know. He found Torvald and
I found not being mad, and that was cool. That's my hope.
Well, we'll have to see. I'm excited to keep to plow into the rest of the book. I told AJ that I was very disappointed that I feel like last week I was like, guys, let's end the show by saying love each other. And you guys really shot me down, you know? and I was actually sitting on that ending for months. Since last December, I've been sitting here like, maybe we end the show by saying love each other. That could be good. It's like a positive message, you know? This was something I had thought, you know? So I was very, very bummed out. Here's what I came up with, because I was trying to think of things that are on brand for the book. You ready?
Okay.
But it's like a two-part thing. So it's going to go like,
is it like
I say come, you say passion, come.
Passion.
Come.
Passion. I love it.
Indy, I don't think I heard you say passion.
I'm not going to lie. Peter. I don't love it. I think that maybe we can table that.
Oh, can we workshop some things? I was thinking we end with kill your gods. Thoughts.
Here's an idea. Maybe at the end of each one, we could all just, you know, like Peter first, you know, you'll close us out this time. If it's come passion, then that's what it is. Next week, I'll go. And I'll make us a different ending.
I was so happy with the come passion thing. I don't know why.
Why?
Well, I yelled, what's the god's name? Kroll. I yelled Kroll's cum or semen earlier, so I assume that's why you said it.
Yeah, that's where I was headed with
I thought that's why you said compassion.
No, we did. We had a phone call earlier this week, and he said, I think this is what we're going to do.
Like, that's very good.
It's a good idea.
It's definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
I commend you for it.
It's definitely an idea.
It's an idea.
I'll say that.
And that's why I brought it up, just so we could all stroke my ego and tell me it's a good idea.
Stroke your ego until we yell come passion. Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
It
sounds bad when you say it. It sounds bad when you say it, Josh. Okay.
All right. I think we do it. We do a proper compassion, and then that's it. That's the whole thing.
I am hijacking it next week.
All right.
I say come, you say passion.
You have to say it. Idiot.
Good, one job.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Producer AJ here. Thank you for listening to the second episode of our read-through of House of Chains. To be completely honest, we just recorded episode 4 today, and hearing us talk about Karsa so much in this episode has made me all warm and fuzzy inside. As we said last episode, 10 Very Big Books has a Patreon now. Thank you to everyone who has contributed so far. After just under 2 weeks, 70 of you have collectively pledged over $230 to the show. Thank you so much. We'll never be able to thank you enough. And those of you waiting for your thank yous, they will begin in the next episode. If you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can visit the link in the show notes or head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. Your generosity, like I said, has really, really blown us away, and we will never, ever be able to say thank you enough times. So thank you so much to anyone who has donated and to anyone who will donate. And also just thank you so much for listening to the show. We really, really appreciate it, and we wouldn't be able to do this without you. Of course, you can always tweet us your thoughts and feelings about the show at 10verybigbooks. You can also email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com. You can also join our community Discord by heading over to bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. The link will also be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest Karate Kid quotes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on July 31st talking about House of Chains chapters 5, 6, and 7. Talk to you then. And thank you so much for listening. India, what'd you say?
Nothing. I'm just trying to find out what actor Peter looks like. If anybody knows, please let me know. It's a young actor. He plays a guitar. He's very popular with the ladies.
That'll go at the end of the episode.